seen it before. Rate it 5 stars, make them comment for more. When they walk in, jaws drop on the floor. Ain't nothing gonna hold you back when you got it like that. When you got it like that. Ain't nothing gonna hold you back when you got it like that. When you got it like that. When you got it like that. You got it. You got it like that. You got it, yeah, yeah, you got it like that. You got it, yeah, yeah, you got it like. You got it, yeah, yeah, you got it like that. When you got it like that. Nothing gonna hold you back when you got it like that.
This Easter, Gladstone is the place to be. Enjoy the back-to-back lineup of events and celebrate Easter in Gladstone Harbourside. Family-friendly activities at the annual Harbour Festival, yacht races, DJs, harbour cruises, fresh seafood, live entertainment, dancing and more. It's the biggest and best weekend of the year. Don't miss this iconic long weekend packed with festivities. Visit Gladstone Regional Council's website for more information. Easter in Gladstone. You'll be glad you did.
Hello and welcome to all from wherever you're joining us today. I'm David Hamilton, Commodore of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the start of the 77th Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. This year, 29 yachts are set to take on this iconic 308 nautical mile course. It's a mixed fleet with returning champions, seasoned offshore crews and dedicated club teams, all sharing the same start line. Some to watch are Wedgetail, skippered by a veteran of over 30 years in this race, David Rose, Samurai, formerly known as Ragamuffin, it's back for another shot, and the TP52 Maritimo and the Wellborn 50 Hutchie's Yeah Baby are both proven performers in previous events. We're proud once again to partner with the Multihull Yacht Club of Queensland to showcase the strength of both monohull and multihull racing in Australia. And we'll be watching the Multihull XL2 to see just how fast they can go in these relatively light conditions early on. A big thank you to our naming rights partner, Gladstone Ports Corporation, Gladstone Regional Council, Adina Watches, Brisbane City Council, and to the many volunteers and supporters who make this race possible. Fair winds and safe sailing to all competitors.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. For better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight. I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore.
Being streamed live to the world through the brand new Brisbane to Gladstone official YouTube channel on the jumbo screen at East Shores in Gladstone, and those watching at the long lunch being held at the B2G Village in Gladstone, and of course on Australia's premium sports streaming service, KO Sports. Welcome to Brisbane. Well, more specifically, welcome to Sandgate, north of Brisbane. More specifically, welcome to the nerve centre of Easter World Sailing, positioned above reception and slightly to the right of the kitchen. On top of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, I'm Grant Cooper, and sitting alongside me are two internationally respected sailors and commentators. On the outside, joining me again is a man who I've spent 6 days alongside in a little tent, broadcasting the World International 1 Metre Championships, an Aussie champion sailor coach, sailing analyst, and the man solely responsible for his beloved Bar Karate, the sailing podcast, being in the top 3 percentile of all podcasts worldwide. BP, Bicey, he told me to say that. Welcome, Jordan Spencer.
G'day, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to be here once again. I'm very excited about what we're about to see.
For the first time behind this desk, it's a real privilege to welcome dual Olympian, silver medalist, 4-time Australian Female Sailor of the Year, public speaker, on-water analyst for Sail GP, and one of the most respected voices in the sport. She's from Sydney, but we'll forgive her for that. Welcome, Lisa Darmanin.
It's great to be here for my first Brisbane to Gladstone. The sun is shining, so Queensland's treating me well so far. I mean, you gave me a good intro, but I have to say congratulations to you. It's awesome to be sitting next to the Mayor's Community Champion of the 2025 Australian Day Award. So well done, Grant. It's great to be here.
Thank you, Lisa. You kept that one quiet in the rehearsals. And to complete this quartet of amazing commentary talent, I inadvertently added myself to that. I didn't mean to. On board the beautiful 70-foot wooden motor yacht Mohiki is a woman who's no stranger to the pressure of cutthroat competition at Easter time, becoming Gladstone Harbour Festival Queen in 1995. Presenting the excitement, and the people who make this event happen from the start will be Nat Cooper, who luckily cannot hear me at this point of time. So we'll leave her to that. 25 monos, 4 multis are on Moreton Bay getting ready for this year's race, and conditions are a bit light. But more details about that later. However, these conditions, with these conditions and the fact that there's no 100-footers this year, there's no 80-footers even this year, could make for the most thrilling finish and possibly the hardest fleet to predict the winner of the Courier Mail Cup ever. Let's go, team. Let's get a rundown of what boats are likely to perform well. Geordie?
Wow. This is a hard one, Grant, because obviously in the last few years we've been able to say with great confidence who will win. We've had but with such variable wind out there, where really it's going to be very difficult to predict. David, the Commodore of Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, made a few predictions. To those I'd probably add Black Diamond. But the interesting thing is last year our line honours was a TP52, and the winner was the Giant Brody, which is a long metre style rule boat. And we could actually have that happen again this time. So there are a couple of boats to keep an eye out for. The outside ones to watch, like Jaybird 3 for the line honours and Maritimo 52. But then maybe Spetsig, the Swedish design from 1929, that long metre boat, that thing has come, second 5 times. These conditions could play out, or even a local like Balancing Act, the J99 could come into play. But we could also be in for, we're going for a record here, Lisa.
Yes, so if Geordie's predictions are correct, what we could have is Jaybird 3, with Annika Thompson as skipper, being the first female to win an offshore race in Australia. And then if Spetsig win on IRC, you could have the first double-hander. So we're manifesting that here at the commentary booth.
Okay. Yeah, first we could have the first female sailor to win line honours in skipper as a in a race in Australia. And Spetsig could and hopefully will be the first double-hander and Courier Mail Cup winner.
That's it.
Wow. All right. Well, let's throw that out there and say this could be the year. Yeah. And with conditions being, who's to say they won't?
With the conditions, I think the reason why it's so unpredictable is we could get anything. We've got light winds at the moment. The breeze can fill in, a little bit of sea breeze. People will be sticking close to shore. It'll be nor'east, potentially sou'east. It's going to be spinning around. So I think with such unpredictable wind conditions, it can be anyone's game. And I think we'll dive into the weather a little bit later, but it's a hard one to predict. So anyone watching can let us know in the comments, because I think we might need a little bit of help predicting this one.
Well, you may not only just need a little bit of help when it comes to looking from the outside in, but you may even want to be a part of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and as we have done for many, many years, we're back online again this year too. The virtual Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is up. Sailonline.org will once again bring you the virtual Gladstone Ports Corp Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race to your computer screens. Virtual race starts at exactly the same time, 11 a.m, and this year they're using a Cookson 50.
Yep.
Not sure why there's no Cookson 50s out there, but I suppose it's just a nice boat in that sort of
we got one online
range.
That's good, so we'll see how the Cookson 50 goes. Maybe once we'll turn up next year.
They're a very quick boat and candy kill fast. A lot of data.
I also think that, I'm not thinking, I'm absolutely 100% sure they use real weather conditions in this. You are racing as if you are racing on board, except that you're probably sitting at home in your jocks doing it. But that's okay. No one's going to see you. But look, from me, tip, don't fall asleep, because you end up either in Gari or a long way offshore, and you don't want to be offshore with the current situation that we've seen in the lead up to the race. It's not as easy as you think, but give it a crack. Sailonline.org is the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race virtual race there. So I think it's almost time to, like, as you get, there's balancing act. There's the Gladstone boat, and last year they carried a camera. This year they reckon it was that 1 kilo of camera was too much for them. So no, to the team there, we wish them all the best as they head towards the top. Okay. I think it's almost time that we could shoot across to Mohiki. I think Nat Cooper's on the start boat there, and she'll have an interview for us. It's over to you, Nat, and on the start boat.
Thanks, Grant. I'm here with Grant Menzies from Adina Watches. Grant, Adina has been the official timekeeper of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for many years now, to be honest.
I think we're in our 6th year.
Wow.
It's not Good Friday without being on the Mohiki at the start of the Brisbane to Gladstone.
So what are you most looking forard to?
I love the start. I love the jostling at the start line, the yachts all crossing across one another to get that little millisecond, they can get in front. They could make the difference all the way in Gladstone, depending on what happens at the start.
Yeah, for sure. And at the finish line, I believe all the winning yachties receive a special edition watch, and it has become a bit of a sought-after prize, to be honest. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, it's a very, very, I guess, elite club of yachties that get to own one of our special edition watches. It's a watch that we developed for the owners, or actually for the entire crew of the line honours winning boat, which is very, very rare in yachting sort of parlances, and also the skipper of the winning line honours boat, actually first across the line. So it's nice that the actual skippers are not just the owners, get to own something very, very special, that when they're travelling the world or doing whatever, they've got their winner's watch on, which is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And also I hear you are launching a brand new range, is that right? That's pretty exciting.
Well, as the last manufacturers of watches here in Australia, started by my dad back in 1971, the design team were building up, and we managed to put together a brand new model. I didn't think we'd get it together on time, but I thought, well, you know what, there's no better place to launch it than at the start line. So an international range launch on the start line of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race in 2025. So there's a little bit of a sneak preview of what we've made, but we've got a few other ones that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on in the morning.
That's very exciting. Thank you so much, Grant, for having a chat.
Thanks,
Let you get back to the champagne and oysters.
Oh, that's a tough thing to get back to, isn't
it? And we'll see you soon.
Looking forward to it.
Back to you, Grant.
Champagne and oysters, lovely. We're sitting here with some warm Coke and the potential of getting a half salad wrap later on. But anyway, enjoy out on the start boat. Have a look at those conditions on Moreton Bay here in Queensland. There's not a lot of wind here.
I mean, it looks like a beautiful day to be out on the water, but not so much for a sailboat race right now. But there's a lot going on offshore, and I think there will be a little bit of breeze this afternoon. Hopefully the boats can get underway, but I think Geordie's got a little bit more detail to dive into the reason why that there's no wind right now.
Well, there's plenty going on. So we've gone to a synoptic chart here. We wanted to explain sort of what is going on. So if you look at that, you can see lots of lines there, and that bunch of circles just near New Zealand is a low pressure system. And the tighter and closer those isobars are together, the more wind there is. That's what we're looking for. A low pressure spins in a clockwise direction. So if you put your hand on any of those circles and look to the clockwise direction, that's the direction the wind is blowing. If you move back towards our Queensland coast, you can see that there is a high pressure which spins in an anti-clockwise direction, and you can see there are not many isobars next to it. So we're in a very low gradient structure. It's very variable. It's sitting right there. It could be anything over the top of us, and so the wind really has no direction from the atmosphere at the moment. So then that switches to what happens with the thermal effect, which is the thermal in cold water, warm land, heats up, it creates a cycle. So if we go through to windy now, what you'll see is that we're picking up the southwesterly that's left off that low that's over New Zealand, and that's going to slowly move further and further to the east and away from the coast, and we're going to get more and more influence from that high, and that high that sits over us is just going to get lighter and lighter. So as the day goes on, that wind will start to move through to the east and start coming around over the next few days into a northeasterly pattern off the back of that gradient. So what we're going to see today is the wind drop out, and we've been watching that all morning so far. And then as the thermal is fighting that little bit of southwest gradient that's there, and I've been watching the numbers all morning, and it's just getting lighter and lighter and lighter. So we're going to have a light start. We are going to have a light race because we're going to be in the middle of that big high, which means from a sailing perspective, it doesn't get any more boring in sailing. It gets much more intense, because the whole level of concentration to get everything right, your apparent wind changes so much. Every mistake is magnified because your boat stops really easily. So, if you make a mistake that loses 1 knot of boat speed, that could be all your boat speed, and people could be travelling twice the distance of you. So you get big mistakes in light winds, a big expense in light winds.
Yeah, I guess with sailing, you've kind of got to be good at everything, but I feel like what you're talking about with that intensity with light wind, it's because the losses are just so great. If you find that one puff of breeze out there, that one gust that's running along the shore, you could be going so much faster than your competitors. And I think with the model at the moment, it looks like staying close to shore is going to be the winner. But obviously there's sandbanks out there, there's big waves offshore, so a few barrels up the coast maybe people need to avoid. But, so much is going on out there in terms of the weather. I think, there's a lot of pressures on the crew, but we always say, like in light wind, there's that finesse side of sailing. Those heavy downwinders you've seen in the past in this race, are magnificent to sail in, but light air, you've got to have such a different way of sailing. And I think as they go up the coast, it's going to change, and they'll have to change how they sail. But it'll be a long race, but quite an interesting race as a sailor to be able to take on those conditions.
Terrific stuff. Well, that's a fair bit of information there, and I'll tell you what, the navigators are certainly going to have their work cut out for themselves over this next 25, 24, 48, 36. What's the next one?
48.
It just keeps going up. They're expected 60. In Gladstone. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Monday for some boats is not looking out of the question at this stage. You are watching the start of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race of 2025. We'll be back in just a moment.
The 77th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
This is GPC.
This is GPC. This is GPC.
Welcome back to the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. And welcome to John F., who is watching from Amsterdam, and Don Farlow from Sanford, which would probably be in the US? ? I'm hoping so. Anyway, here's one of our first boats that we're going to be featuring today. This is the beautiful Black Diamonds with Glenn Burrell, who is currently the Commodore of the Southport Yacht Club.
They've got plenty of experience aboard this boat. 70 Brisbane to Gladstone combined experience out there, and this Ryujin 42 has done 5 of them. They got 4th last year in IRC, so I'm sure they'll be trying to make that podium this year.
Yeah, likes a bit of wind up the tailpipe, this one, and and Glenn takes his racing very seriously. Obviously, he stacked the crew. It's one of my favourite looking boats. If I had to go up to Gladstone, I'd probably want to go on this little boat because it'll be a ton of fun if it gets really windy. Might be a fraction sticky in this lighter wind, is my gut feel, but lovely boat. Has had a long history in Queensland, and Glenn's owned it, I think, since about 2019, and he loves it, and he loves his sailing.
Absolutely. 2024 Queensland State Yachting Champion is one of their achievements. Here is possibly the race favourites, Maritimo 52, skippered by that amazing yachtsman, Spies. So
incredible background for Spies. I think he's done 46 Hobarts and 20 Brisbane to Gladstone's just himself. I think the really cool thing about this crew this time round is that they've got the veterans, they've got the time on the water, but they've also got a whole bunch of young sailors, 18-foot skiff sailors. They're also joined by Emma Rankin, who is the F16 world champion. So really cool to have that balance out there. And yeah, that looks like a pretty good boat to go to Gladstone on too.
Yeah. So Spetsig is Michael Spies. He won 5 world champs in his history as well. He's got Steve Jackson on there. He's done 5 America's Cups as well. So there's plenty of talent on that boat. A lot of young 18-foot skiff sailors. For those who know Spies, he's an ex-18 sailor, and he very much is part of the Maritimo team. So there's actually the last 2 boats we've featured. So that is one to watch the line on us for sure.
Yeah, that would it would have to be race favourite, wouldn't it?
Over the line?
Yeah.
And probably on IRC, it might be with this light wind taking up most of his race time. The bigger boats might suffer, but she's a good one, definitely one to watch.
Great stuff. Well, from one of those big long ones to the Indigo 2 with Darren Purdy, who was the skipper of this beautiful yacht, a Martin 49.
Yes.
Actually, not that far. I thought it was a little bit smaller than that, but no, it's only 3 foot shorter than the Maritimo 52. So there you go. Strong crew from Brisbane, Sydney, Auckland, and Adelaide.
Yeah, these are glamour, these things. I remember when they first came out, they're beautiful boats. They've got a lifting keel in them, and they are, a luxury cruiser is the way to describe it, but with a lot of racing bent to it. It's all carbon build. They're great boats. Been sailed quite well. We've got quite a few good crew on this one as well. And last year they had a really good start in these sorts of conditions. I think they were second to the turning mark at Redcliffe, so they were looking pretty good. Certainly one boat to have a bit of fun with.
They have done 4 Brisbane to Gladstone yacht races, and they also have a new sponsor, Nutrix. It's a Queensland artisanal wine and spirits company, so they could be well equipped for a long race.
Did you get a freebie then?
Just saying it. I didn't realise that was
You
right.
can see the flag.
Oh, okay, right. Luckily, that flag is fluttering, so there you go. But no, beautiful boat, Indigo 2, and that Martin 49 will be.
I've spent some time offshore on those.
Yeah, they're folding away the orange emergency sails.
They had to show them.
Yeah, they have to show them, but I don't think they're going to need them. Well, let's hope not. That's for sure. Beautiful boats, and we welcome them to Gladstone. Indigo 2, sail number 211. Here is a boat that has had an amazing amount of 36 hours, even 48 hours. Bruce Yardley.
Tadru.
Sorry. He has had an incredible time. They've busted their gearbox. They did that 3 days ago. They flew a guy to Sydney. The guy picked up the box and brought it back, and they were fitting it on Thursday night at 2 a.m. or Friday morning, 2 a.m. Then they got it fixed, finally, had to sail around Moreton Island and got into Brisbane this morning at 2 o'clock. So for them to even
Exhausted
be on the
already.
start line is amazing. We'll come back to them. We've got a fixed camera on that boat. But this is XL2, one of the cats, the 4 cats in the race.
Yeah. That's Crowther Super Shockwave. I think that's about 40 foot from memory, that one. So that's Nathan Palmer's boat. Certainly proven performer, winning a lot of East Coast multi-hull events. He said, known for going above its weight in challenging conditions. Well, it's not going to be challenging conditions. So I think Nathan's going to have to find some speed in the light winds that can be quite sticky. And then we've got one of the Gladstone boats.
Yep, a bit of an iconic Gladstone boat, Restless, with John Eibel on the helm.
Yeah, so this Cape 35 was built in Sydney, but it was completed in Gladstone. They've been a handicap winner in the past and have a long-standing reputation along the East Coast racing. They've got pretty good experience across the boat as well, Geordie.
Kerry Millard, 25 Brisbane to Gladstone. So that's racing over in Geograph Bay is one of the things he's done. So that is quite interesting, because Geograph Bay is a beautiful part of the world in Busselton.
I do know that one of their favourite things to do is win the Best Dressed Award. And we can't quite see it at this point in time because the sun's on the other side, but they've got resplendent, colourful clothing on at the moment. And it's certainly one of the things that John Eibel likes to take home every year, that colourful clothing. I'm not sure who judges that on board the start boat.
Mad respect. Why not? I love that.
You're looking over Brisbane Harbour there, and this amazing amount of boats that are out there too. Spectator craft that'll be watching this 77th edition of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. As we mentioned earlier on, no huge boats this year. Really disappointing, and for the reasons of a cyclone, that we never had Wild Thing 100 join us this year, after they have actually just put a new stick in her overnight. Over the last month. So to Grant and the team, we wish you were here, but I think they're off to do other races and test that new rig out. This is Cooper's. Craig Watson has brought the boat back, and it's a beautiful boat. These guys certainly are enjoying some of the product on the front deck. I can see right there now. So these guys are characters. So no, beautiful boat, and these guys will have a nice time going to Gladstone. They love it.
That would be a lovely boat to go to Gladstone on.
Also looking at Cooper's, she was purchased in December 2010. She's, as you know, a cruising yacht with a strong racing record, and the first cruising yacht to compete in the Royal Southport to Hobart race when that happened. Not sure when that was, but been to Gladstone many times for 4 and 14 Hamilton Island race weeks.
Yeah.
I reckon the boys would enjoy that up there.
They look like a crew that would enjoy Hamo.
I've seen them up at Hamo a few times today.
They certainly make their presence known. There you go. All right. We'll head now across to the start boat, the beautiful Mohiki again. It's Nat Cooper on board.
Thanks, Grant. I'm here with the chair of the Gladstone Ports Corporation, Marie Adsed. Thanks for having a chat today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Marie, the Gladstone Ports Corporation has been a major sponsor of this event for many years now. What does this partnership mean to the port, and why is it so important to the Gladstone community?
Oh, it's so important. It's a wonderful partnership. It's the biggest sporting event this time of year. It's the second biggest ocean yacht race, second only to the Brisbane to Hobart. And it's just so wonderful an opportunity for us to showcase our internationally acclaimed 5 gold anchor marina, where the home of the finishing events are, so that's really exciting. But it's also got an incredible economic ripple effect right throughout the whole, between Brisbane and Gladstone. That's really important.
Absolutely. And while you're no stranger to sailing, I hear, and we're having a beautiful time on the yacht today, when did your own love of sailing start?
Oh, ever since I was tiny. My dad's obsessed with wooden boats, and I learned to sail on a Heron, and then he moved up to a slightly bigger boat, a Hartley 18, and I raced in that for many years. Not in this this race. I've never raced in this race before, but my parents have many times.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, sailed all around Moreton Bay. I came here by boat today, believe it or not.
Wow, that would have been glorious. I mean, flat, calm, perfect conditions for it, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
From the start line here at Shorncliffe to the amazing finish that the yachties always receive such a warm welcome back in Gladstone. I believe this is going to be your first Easter in Gladstone?
First in a long time.
Oh, right.
Certainly in this capacity.
Okay. What are you most looking forward to?
Oh, I'm looking forward to getting up on top of Auckland Hill and having a good look around. I'm looking forward to the festival. I'm looking forward to the parklands. Looking forward to getting out to the marina and, of course, the finishing celebrations.
Oh, yeah. Line crossing party. Let's bring it. Thanks, Marie.
My pleasure. Thanks, Nat.
Back to
Thanks, Natalie. You are watching the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race 2025. We hope you're enjoying it from wherever you're watching around the world. We'll be back in just a moment.
The 77th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation, the Brisbane City Council, via Brisbane Economic Development Agency, the generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Morning.
Morning. Glad to see you made it. Hello.
Hello.
Glad you made it.
Good morning. Can I please have a...
Gin latte, extra shot with a hint of vanilla.
Thank you.
And don't forget your cookie.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Glad to see you could finally make it out here, mate. Glad to be here. Let's get to work. Glad you made it, mate. Thanks, mate. Cheers. With so many reasons to move to the Gladstone region, you'll be glad you made it.
This Easter, Gladstone is the place to be. Enjoy the back-to-back lineup of events and celebrate Easter in Gladstone Harbourside. Family-friendly activities at the annual Harbour Festival, yacht races, DJs, harbour cruises, fresh seafood, live entertainment, dancing and more. It's the biggest and best weekend of the year. Don't miss this iconic long weekend packed with festivities. Visit Gladstone Regional Council's website for more information. Easter in Gladstone. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and we have a very special guest now that we can cross to on board his beautifully designed, self-designed multi-hull. It's Rush Hour skipper Drew Carruthers. G'day, Drew. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Beautiful day out here.
Yeah, this year, Drew, you're up against some lighter weather and also some lighter, wetter, and some say maybe less comfortable opposition in those other multi-hulls, but they still say you're the one to beat on OMR. What do you say to that?
I don't think so, not this year. We need about 10 knots to get going, and they've got the same sail area as us with half the weight, so I think we'll see them buzz off into the distance pretty quickly.
Drew, it's
We've
Lisa.
got beer, though. We've got plenty of beer.
That sounds pretty good. Drew, I noticed you guys have some lifting seafoils. Now, obviously, as we heard, the weather's not that good for it, but if you did get a puff, when do they sort of start to work? How fast do you need to be going to really benefit off those?
Yeah, they don't really make the boat go any quicker, but what they do, they stabilise the boat. So once we get over about 16, 17 knots of boat speed, they sort of give us a bit of bow lift. But I keep breaking them. They're right at the limit of the carbon engineering world, so we cut a bit off lately, so they're not as effective as they used to be. But yeah, they just make the boat safer when we're running downwind in heavy conditions, which is obviously a good thing.
Yeah. Bruce, this is Jordan Spencer here. Drew, sorry, buddy. Jordan Spencer here. Lisa, has been known to break a few falls on her catamaran as well. I will just tell you, it's just so you know. You've done a lot of miles in this boat of yours. You still come back for the Gladstone. So what's the most challenging part of this race from your perspective?
Well, getting around the top of Fraser and against the East Coast current's probably the most challenging part.
Yep.
When there's a decent southeaster running, it stands up there. And but I think that the challenging thing for this race is finding some wind. But yeah, but it's a beautiful time of the year to go sailing. You know, it's a nice warm water temperature, and it's beautiful cooler weather. It is a fantastic time of the year to go for a sail, that's for sure. And that's why we're doing it in the Cat this year. I wish I was in the Kerr, to be honest, but at least we'd go somewhere. But the Cat's so comfortable, and it's coming back so comfortable. So. Yeah.
Good on you, Drew. Listen, it's wonderful that you've been able to join us live for the multi-hulls today and representing the multi-hulls. And I know you represent the MYCQ and also Royal Queensland as well. Best of luck for the race, Drew. Enjoy it. You might need to really enjoy it because you might be out there a little while. But we can't wait to see you when you get to Gladstone, and appreciate you coming online with us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. I just hope we get to Gladstone.
You'll get there.
We'll see what happens.
Drew Carruthers, skipper, owner, and also designer of Rush Hour. Well, there you go. Heard it from the skipper's mouth. It's fairly quiet out there.
Well, I am looking out the window, though, and it does look like it's filling in a little bit more, so less glassy, but, yeah, it's still going to be a pretty light race.
All right, we are broadcasting live right around the world, and also you're watching it on KO Sports and, of course, the official Brisbane to Gladstone YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to like more about that and see more about the Brisbane to Gladstone over the years. We've also got a fantastic way of watching the race, which is, of course, the Yellow Brick Yacht Trackers. We'll be talking about that fairly soon, and those yacht trackers are updated almost immediately, so we'll be able to get a bit of an understanding of who's leading the race very soon after the race start.
Yep. Yacht tracking is a great way. I mean, I spend most of my days watching yacht trackers these days, just following all the races, and it is quite interesting. So it's definitely one to watch. On screen, of course, is Ignition. That is Sunfast 3300. That has probably designed more as a double-hander. They're going fully crewed this time around. It's a Guillaume Verdier design, who's one of the most famous yacht designers in the world these days and designs some of the fastest boats. It will definitely not like light winds and going upwind. It's definitely designed to go downwind, but it's a very cool little boat, and yeah, there's a lot of them in France.
It's not big. I'm looking at it. It's not
wide
a big
though,
boat.
so not so great for the lighter winds. It is owned by a syndicate of 5 people. 3 of the owners are going up to Gladstone in this race, and they're also joined by 3 friends out there. So I think they'll have a pretty good time, even though they've got to be on there for a while, it sounds like.
Terrific stuff. Each year we pay tribute to a person that has given their time and effort in this race. Actually, before we do, Hutchie's Yeah Baby. There we go. This is another potential line honours favourite.
This boat, it's an amazing history. I've known this boat my whole life, I reckon. It started out as an IOR 50 in like the 80s, and then it turned into it's named Heaven Can Wait, and they took the hull out and built a new hull, so kept the deck, the keel and everything, and it's a well-born 50 now. So, and it was owned by a guy called Rod Jones, who's very famous in Queensland for buying boats and tuning them right up. And this boat has definitely some potential, particularly on rating, because it's got a little bit of an age allowance as well. So it could be definitely one to watch for, but they have to sail it well.
Yep. Andy was a special guest on the broadcast last year, I believe, too. It was wonderful talking to him, and we wish him all the best on his trip to Gladstone. Okay, so...
Crazy man, that Andy.
Didn't he sail around the world solo non-stop the wrong way?
Yeah,
he goes the wrong way.
Yeah. Go back, you're going the wrong way. Now, listen, each year we do pay tribute to a person who's given their time and effort to the race and the club and the sport they love, and this year it's well-known local Philip Lazzarini. Now, Philip's been a member of the QCYC for 40 years, of which which he held the office of Commodore for 6 years and has served on the club board for 30 years. And Phil's competed in, would you believe, 30 Brisbane to Gladstones, 25 times on his own beloved Walker 11 design Sassy. Now, over the 30 years, his main rival was Wistari, the legendary boat from Gladstone, and they had such great battles, and he had such a unique and cherished rivalry that when Wistari retired, Phil decided to retire Sassy at the same time, and now cruises the Queensland coast each year, each winter instead. So instead of doing the race today, he's our special guest to be able to present to you the Brisbane to Gladstone course for 2025.
Hi, this is Philip Lazzarini, and it's my pleasure to step you through the 2025 course. The organising authority is the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, founded in 1948 for the express purpose of hosting this event. At 11 a.m, all yachts will set course for the first turning mark off Redcliffe, then east to the M8 and M9 beacons off Tangalooma before heading northwest rounding the Caloundra Fairway Buoy. Navigators will plot their courses, chasing the favourable winds by skirting Double Island Point or heading further offshore, hoping to open up the angles and sailing fast. With beautiful Gari on the port side, yachts will pass Indian Head and then break Seaspit before altering course to round the jewel of the southern Great Barrier Reef, Lady Elliot Island, and then heading across the span of water that yachties have affectionately named the Paddock. With Agnes Waters in 1770 on the horizon, yachts will pick up the first channel beacon, S2, before snaking through the Gladstone shipping channel, being aware of the shallow bars on either side of the channel. Finally, the end is in sight, with the finish of Patsy Lee Place at East Shores, where the Port Curtis Sailing Club will signal the end of the race for each yacht and the beginning of the Easter festivities.
Good on you, Phil, and thank you and welcome along to the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. Of course, the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. Here's a boat that we have a fixed camera on, and they're a good bunch of guys from the Capricornian Sailing Club. It is Barracuda. I like that. Barracuda. Good bunch of guys.
Great song, that one too. Barracuda.
The family affair, this one. Tim is joined by his sons Bronson and Joshua, so they're going to have a good time out there. Oh, you can just see how light it is. Oh, a little bit of a wave to the camera. They seem pretty relaxed out there. Got the wide brims on. Ready to go.
Yeah, I like this boat. It's a cool looking boat, isn't it? It's a Thompson 30, so Kiwi design. They've had a bit of success. They like to race. They won the Australian Trailable Yacht Champs on it, so it certainly can get going. If it was windy, she'd be a ton of fun to be on board.
Yep, and Gladstone David Mann is on board, and he's certainly done many Gladstone races. So we wish this boat, one of the smaller ones of the fleet, wish this all the best. Barracuda, it would be a ton of fun. I think one of their main rivals, they said they'd like to beat across the line, would be Balancing Act. So
I feel like everyone wants to beat Balancing Act.
Well, I think, yeah, absolutely. So because I think it gets a fair bit of coverage. Yeah, good on you, Tim, and he was so pleased and so happy to be able to have that fixed camera on board. We thank him very much for that as well.
Yeah.
That is Barracuda. We're also look at this thing. I've actually done 2 Brisbane to Gladstones on board this old girl. This is South Passage with Jim Kelly on the wheel and representing the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club. This is South Passage.
She is a big boat. Yeah, so they're racing in the cruising division, so obviously their focus is there's a lot of people learning to sail on that thing. It's a great experience into the sport of sailing, and they're having that experience. It's a training vessel. The skipper obviously is a big part of it. They can turn on the motors, interestingly, in the cruising division. Yeah.
Could be a good one for them if they can turn on the motors.
Yeah.
But what a beautiful tall ship. It's one of the few that sail all year round, and no winches, no mechanical aid, so all by hand. So they'll be busy out there, but just beautiful to see, the various technology out there from, something like this that was built in 1993, and then all the high tech design that we see these days as well. And that's the beauty about sailing is no matter what, you can go sailing on.
They've got the iron head sail on there, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I just ran through the crew list. There are 30 first-time sailors on there, first-time Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race sailors on there. So they're probably one of the few boats that could have that whole crew on one side to get that boat leaning over a little bit during the start. But we'll see how that goes. A lot of fun on board South Passage, a sail training vessel. This is Yendi's, as we mentioned before, with Bruce Tardrew on the helm. And she's a Rockall Pew 55. Bit of history about this one, Geordie.
Oh, yeah. We were having a good old debate because the Yendi's won the Sydney Hobart in 1999, but it's a different hull, a different boat. So it was the previous version of the Yendi's. And so this is, I reckon this was built early 2000s, 2005 in McConaughey's yard in China. So and built to be a cutting-edge racing machine. You would know all about it, Lisa. Would being a cutting-edge racer yourself?
Well, speaking of cutting-edge racing, I sailed Hobie 16s against Bruce back in the day.
There you go. I knew there was a history.
Yeah, Bruce has so much experience. I think he's done 33 Brisbane to Gladstones. He actually was the first overseas skipper to win the race back in 1983, so I'm sure he's seen it all.
He did, and he won a Worlds in the Hobies, didn't he?
He did win a World in the Hobies. He was tough to beat, Tards.
Tards.
I'm sure he'll love you saying that worldwide, but that's his nickname. So there you go. Look, there's a lot of people on board that boat. Richard Sanford, Hans Wardring, 20 years of sailing, and Nicholas Isaac. They've got some. They've a lot of history on that boat.
Scott Miller did 34 Gladstones already.
There you go. Yeah. So and they've had just even being close to the start line has been an amazing achievement for them. Talking about the start line, we're only 14 minutes away.
Downwind start, I reckon. It's looking like that wind is trying to move around right as we speak at the moment, but that's looking to the south. If you can see the port of Brisbane just there, some of the cranes for the containers just in the background. So that's looking south, and now we're looking back to the north, I think, just judging from that. So yeah, we're going to be starting. We've had the race course heading up to Redcliffe and then heading out to Moreton Island. And would you stop just off Tangalooma there and do some snorkelling?
I would. I did look at some pictures last night, and I think it's a pretty nice place to hang out and go snorkelling. But I guess we're 3 minutes from the first warning signal. The 10-minute warning signal, but let's take a look at Charisma, skippered by Chris Larson from Southport Yacht Club. This looks like a pretty cool boat. Comfortable. Not sure how they're going to go this year, though.
Yeah, Kerr 11.3. They are racing on IRC. They've done well before. They have won, I think, in 2019, I reckon, from memory. So they've done well. Chris Larson's done plenty of sailing, so as has most of the crew on board that vessel. So a lot of dinghy experience as well, so they'll be right on to keeping it switched on. One of the things about racing offshore is you get a lot of heroes, and they won't take their watch system, and at about 3 a.m, you suddenly discover who hadn't had their sleeps, and the concentration levels drop. And that's the secret of when you're out to sea for so long.
She's had a major refit, a major rig refit this year before this B2G. So she's tuned, ready to rock and roll. In fact, the guys from Barracuda said this is probably their main competition in this race. So you'll be able to see both of those boats crossing tacks and keep up to date on Yellow Brick Yacht Tracker for that information. But Charisma, Chris, we wish you all the best, and hopefully you'll get up there safe and sound. Just might take a little longer than normal. While we're talking about the Yellow Brick Yacht Tracker, you can make sure that you go to the Brisbane to Gladstone.com website, and you can click on Follow the Yachts, and you can watch exactly where those yachts are anywhere at any time, and how close they are getting to Gladstone, or might even be how far they are away from Gladstone. Would possibly maybe a better explanation. There you go. As you can see, most yachts are milling around in that area right now just before the start. So that's Brisbane to Gladstone.com. You can also download it from the App Store and all the Android stores. Get it on your phone and watch for the race and how it is unfolding for you. The yellow brick yacht tracker. Can't believe how much of a tongue twister that is. We are 11 minutes away from the start of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. We can see on board the people are milling around ready to drop flags. I don't think we've got a gun this year. I think it's hooter again, which I find fairly benign. But someone pressing a hooter. But we'll be able to see the flags go up and down. Professor Nimmo, the joint patron of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, will be starting the race again this year. And a very good friend of this live stream and also the people of Gladstone, Matt Burnett, I think will be 10-minute or 4-minute gun. Not 100% sure on that, but we'll see. And there's the yachts getting close.
Should we talk about how the start works? So obviously, in about 25 seconds, we're going to have the advance signal. So that's the 10 minutes to go. Give everyone an idea that they should be getting ready for this race if they're not already. And then at 5 minutes, we'll get another, not a gun, a hooter, for 5 minutes to go, which will be the class flag. Then we have the preparatory flag, which will come up at 4 minutes to go. That will be the I flag, which means that if you are over the line early, which hopefully nobody is, you've got to go all the way around the end. So the start line's about 500 metres long. There goes the hooter for the 10 minutes.
We think. We just saw a red button being pressed.
It's not that.
Yes, I hope there's some flags out there as well. But yeah, 10 minutes to go. Now, no engines after 10 minutes. This is it now.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So, and then Lisa was saying that in 1 minute a flag comes down and then at 0 it go. But the racing rules kick in. So you're under international collision regulation rules up until the 4 minute gun. And once the I flag is up, then you're under full racing rules. So sailing has its own rules, which are very complementary to coal regs. But yeah, so just all that, and the outside assistance rule, like taking any information, all those things. So there's very strict rules that apply, and that's what's the path that's going on. Oh, it looks like Jaybird. Ocean Crusaders Jaybird. That boat is very cool.
It is a very cool boat. It is the only full electric boat in Australia. So a couple of years ago, I think it was 2020, these guys did a full refit and made it fully electric. It's an incredible boat to go on board and have a look. I was lucky once to get a full tour by them, but yeah, these guys could do well across on line honours this year, depending on the wind, of course. Yep.
We're hoping that she's a sentimental favourite from our point of view to be able to get a first female skipper to win a offshore race in Australia. So we're hoping that they do very, very well. We'll do a quick short break, come back with the start of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for 2025 in just a few moments.
The 77th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
This is GPC.
This is GPC.
This is GPC. This is GPC.
Just under 7 minutes before the start of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race of 2025. You're watching it through YouTube, the new Brisbane to Gladstone official YouTube channel, and of course KO Sports, Australia's premium sporting streaming service. And as you can see, the boats aren't getting too far from the start line at this point of time. little bit of wind there. There's a bit of movement. Tell us about some of the tactics as we get to this time, where boats will be positioning themselves, because it's a completely different scenario to, say, round the Cairns racing with dinghies to ocean racing.
Absolutely, Grant. Exactly right. Because in a dinghy race, you start sailing straight into the wind, so you've got to. It's an equal. Each end of the. In theory, no end of the line is favoured, but in ocean racing, they just push you off in the direction. So there's clearly going to be a favoured end of the line because the wind is from behind. We may see spinnakers, but therefore the boat end, the right of screen, is probably going to be favoured, and you've got to find that area of clear air. But the closest to the wind is going to have an easier run of it.
I guess the reason for that is you get the fresh breeze first, because as the breeze sort of passes through all the yachts, it starts to get turbulent. It isn't as strong on your sails, I guess, is a simple way to explain it. But you can see on the screen,
like we're pretty clear, and I reckon we're underway. So we will find out from the race committee if anyone is over the line early, but the sailors themselves won't get notified until 5 minutes after the start. There will be a flag up on the committee boat if anyone's over the line early, and some boats are really not moving at all there.
Yeah, well, I don't think most of the boats actually just thought they were going to be going head to wind up here.
Someone's coming back already, so they think they're over the line.
But they have to go around the edge. That's Ryujin. That's the double-hander, and they have to go around the ends. This is an I-flag start, isn't it? So
it's a big way to sail, a big long way to sail in that light amount of breeze. But what a beautiful sight that is. Such a nice day to be out on the water. I know it's light wind, but it looks magnificent out there right now. I mean, the top end of the line is good, but where Maritimo is right now, if they can pop out in front of the boat to windward of them, I think they'll actually be in a strong position.
Yeah, well, one of the advantages of where Maritimo is there's no dirty air there. They've actually popped out clear air. They've seen the spot. They've made an executive decision, and they're going to start to bolt along. So that's on board Yendi's, I reckon.
Yendi's are wearing red, so this could be Barracuda.
Barracuda. There you go. Look at that.
They've tacked over, so I'm not sure where they started. So they're one of the first ones to flick over, maybe trying to find some clear air, so not follow the pack. Also get towards that right-hand side, which we did see a little bit more pressure when we had that bird's eye view. But obviously when you tack over onto port, you've got to bid on having to duck everybody else.
Yeah. They're going to get out and get some clear air there. Interesting. And a couple of boats starting to head back, so they must have felt that they're all over. So remember, they're making their own judgment. They're not being told by the race committee. They won't hear on radio till 5 minutes after the start that if they're over. So they've got to make that judgment whether they're over or not. So a couple of boats heading out into the spectator fleet. That's going to be interesting. And then a couple of boats starting to creep out. Our two TPs are starting to creep out, and Hutchie's Yeah Baby there as well. That's Hutchie's Yeah Baby. Looking down, that's Hutchie's Yeah Baby as we look.
Everyone on the leeward side trying to get forward and down to the leeward side to tip that boat over just a little bit, help the sails catch a little bit more wind. And then the driver gets to stay to windward and see what's happening.
This is very cool. You're exactly right. So what they're trying to do is lean the boat and get some gravity to shape the sails and get the wind to flow around that. It's that light, but they're moving. They're absolutely moving. So that's cool. We've got Flying Colours just jumping on screen as well, which is another boat that we haven't mentioned yet. Flying Colours is a Cav 350 SL, so that's a slightly older design, but that thing goes pretty well. They've done plenty of Brisbane to Gladstone races, and they're moving that boat along quite nicely. And another one of the boats on port tack lease.
Yeah, well, Peter Cavill, who is on Flying Colours, it's his 46th consecutive Brisbane to Gladstone.
Consecutive?
Yeah, that's what my notes say, so as long as I wrote that down right.
We've got our race favourite Maritimo now on screen there with a lot of crew down to leeward.
It looks like they got all the working people from Gladstone there with their high vis on.
usually in the green, the orange, or the blue. But in this case, the bright iridescent green. But that's a great shot there from Maritimo, working its way towards that first rounding mark off Redcliffe. And yeah, like you said, does it look to you like that Traveller's been pulled fairly well to windward? We'll get a better shot here now.
That's my head in. Okay, so this is a TP52. In the TP52 racing series, they're all trying to squeeze each other off the line. So the more you bring that boom to windward, the more height and dirty air you give. And then what happens is it's also slow though, but I don't know, like TP52s do it, but that's normally because they're in such tight racing. So the TP thing is it's a box rule. There's some of the best boats come out of that. It'll give them a lot of height, is what it'll return, and also force a lot of dirty air off its windward side of that sail.
I mean, this team did a great job at the start. They were looking like they were in quite a compromised position and you know, really adapted to that wind shift in the pre-start. And you can see a lot of boats tacking. There's quite a lot of opportunity out here. It is quite gusty. So if you are in that dirty air or that turbulent air, you can throw a few tacks in. So it's nice to have the upwind start for us.
Yeah, so onto Yendies. So the boats that are popping out the front are going to be Hutch's Yeah Baby, it's going to be Yendies, it's going to be Jaybird, and it's going to be the Maritimo. They're the ones that are going to jump to the front. You can see them sailing along, all cruise to leeward, same here, and you can see that boom is almost up above centreline on Yendies as well. So obviously, you want to set up with a lot of twist on a day like today. So when we set up a rig, if you're a non-sailor, we reshape the sails all the time. They're never stable. We're always trying to shape for what the wind is bringing us. So that's important to understand.
Getting very close to the spectator craft, so we might even have a bit of the first of probably many beats up towards that Redcliffe rounding mark there. But guys, I mean, for those that are watching this racing for the first time, we've been talking about different divisions. How can it be fair for, say, some of the smaller yachts to be competing against some of those the bigger boats like your Yendies and your Maritimos?
Well, the cool thing about yacht racing is no matter what boat you've got, you can kind of head out there and race, and that's because there's a handicap system. So the one IRC, it's a great equaliser in yacht racing. It's a handicap system, as I was saying, which lets these different boats compete fairly. So the bigger and the faster boats, they get a tougher time correction at the end, while the smaller ones get a little bit of a boost. So the winner isn't just the one that crosses the finish line first, but it's the one who sails their boat to the absolute best. So the way the IRC rating works is it calculates how fast the boat should go based on, you know, the rig, the sails, the hull, the weight. It's performance potential. So at the finish line, the boat's elapsed time, which is how long it actually took to sail the course, is multiplied by the handicap rating, and that's what gives you the corrected time. So the lowest corrected time wins Courier Cup.
Courier Mail Cup, yes, it does. Excellent explanation there. Just on screen a moment ago was Rush Hour, where we spoke to Drew Carruthers earlier on. And as you can see now, there's some boats now starting to come across on Port Tack. And that is a fantastic picture, but the good thing about it, there's ripples on the water, so that means there is breeze.
Yeah, not all the way up on the water as you look further north.
Oh, yes, look at that up the top. That's not mist, ladies and gentlemen, that's flat calm.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. What that tells you, though, that is a thermal trying to fill in. That when you see that, that's quite typical of a thermal breeze and the way it's moved around to the northeast, and that happened all morning. We watched it move around, so that is what's going on, and it won't be all the way across the course at this stage, but yeah.
I mean, we did talk about how much it's going to change up the coast to Gladstone, and I think that's the thing with the handicap ratings that we're talking about is, you know, the bigger boats in the better breeze, they'll sort of get away. But if it's a light race and then the breeze comes in at the end, and the slower boats get to capitalise on that later, heavier breeze, that's when they sort of come into play again. So although the handicap system is important, the timing is everything of when you're getting the breeze.
Yeah, absolutely right. And one of the magic numbers has been the TP52s. They're sort of been the boat that have always done very well. But the smaller boats, as you say, they're the ones that could really run. And then also some of the older designs. So, like, that's one of the reasons why we sort of focused on Spetsig. So
Spetsig, I think it's 12 metres above the water and 7
on the
water. So it says, so Spetsig in Swedish means pointy, and when we see that, we'll point it out that it's a very pointy, narrow-looking boat.
I love it. I love it. So,
okay, let's just check this out now too. We're talking about the double handlers before, and we do have a young lady on board. I can say young because she's younger than me, and a good friend of this broadcast is Saskia Grundwood. Did I get that right?
No.
Nowhere near it, probably. Saskia,
30.
you're going to have to help us out one day. 30 years or 40 years we've known each other, and I still haven't got it right the first time. But on board GCCM Arctic Blonde is Saskia with Pete Cook in the background there in the double-handed division. How are you going, guys?
We're going great. We had a really good start. We're drifting along. We chose the leeward side, and we're just, it's probably the most gentlest start to this race that I've had in a while, so that's nice. We're not getting beat up, so that's good.
Saskia, it's Lisa here. You've done plenty of Brisbane to Gladstones, but you're doing it double-handed this time, and you've had lots of experience double-handed as well around the world. But what do you love about double-handed sailing?
Yeah, we were talking last night. I think for both of us, it's just the added challenge. You've got to be really focused. Your prep is a bit different. The way you race is a bit different. But it's a really nice style of racing, actually. I think both of us enjoy it. We love our crew. We've got a really good crew that we race with as well. But when the opportunity comes to do this, it's nice, and we both really like it.
Yeah, you really must love them, so much so that you've left them all behind. But Sass, you have raced all over the world. What makes this Brisbane to Gladstone so special for you?
Yeah, look, for both of us, we both the other day started doing this race when we were in our early teens. So I think when you actually think back, and it's just got a special place. I think Pete did his first one on Ben Bolton. Actually set a record on that, didn't you, at the time? It's a multi-hull trimaran. In his words, he's left his training wheels at home and got onto a proper boat. But so I don't think we're allowed to say that. No, for both of this, it's a race that we started our sailing doing. And then, as you know, for me, it's a great way to come home every year. I love it.
Yeah, mate. Saskia, it's Jordan here. How you going, my friend?
I'm good.
It's good to see you. You're used to taking the lead in the corporate world. Both you and Pete both have a huge amount of experience on the water. How does the decision-making process go on board with that one?
Okay, you're going to ask that question. Here we go.
Who's the boss?
So we have got a history where who's the boss? Well, I put his shoes on and I have to call these on this boat, so it's a bit different. No, generally I tend to have my head more in the navigation. Pete tends to be more into the tactics. We talk everything through like all double-handed sailors do, and everything's calm. We're just very calm, very quiet, just keep it all together and just talk it through.
That sounds like the most political answer I've ever heard from you, which is unusual, Sass, but we'll take it on board. Thank you. It is going live to the world, so there you go. But we wish you all the best. But however, I hear that you're missing someone?
Yeah, I hear you have a crew member that did the Surf to City with you, but Skippy the dog didn't want to go to Gladstone?
Oh, Skippy the dog would love to have gone to Gladstone. We just didn't want the extra weight. We haven't told him that. So he went up in the crew shore support van. So he's in Gladstone already. He'll be at the finish line when we get there. I have to say he's a pretty good tactician.
Excellent, Sass. We wish you and Pete all the best on board Arctic Blonde, and we can't wait to see you in Gladstone to have a cold refreshment with you both. And to the crew of Arctic Blonde, that's all we can really say, and for Skippy too. But have yourself a great race, guys, and we'll see you up top in Gladstone in a day or so.
That's brilliant. Thanks, guys. Thanks for chatting.
Thank you. On board GCCM Arctic Blonde, Saskia and Peter.
I tell you, I reckon Pete was wanting to tack about 3 times during that interview.
He was looking very stern in the background, wasn't he? Absolutely. And as they're getting closer to that big holder, we noticed before, these boats are certainly slowing down. Look at that. Just ticking along as we head to that first rounding mark off Redcliffe. So all those people that are around the shoreline, North Brisbane here, they'll be able to see those boats actually coming in quite close, I would suggest.
Yep. Yendy's is on screen. She's 55 foot, not the biggest boat in the fleet. We've got a 60 footer. We've got Samurai, which is it's a Sparksman and Stevens, an S&S 60, which has a lot of commercial skippers on board. You know, they work up at Airlie. It's an Airlie beach-based boat. So they're getting ready for the Olympics, the 2032 Olympics. They've got all fired up now that the Olympics are going to be up there.
Yeah, it was Townsville and the Whit Sundays for Brisbane 2032.
You doing a comeback, Lise?
Oh, maybe. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So from a strategist point of view, one of the things you said, Grant, before is that navigators are going to be busy. Let's talk about that. So what goes on here? You know, there's all sorts of different responsibilities. You know, the navigators have to position the boat. It's not just a case of not running aground. It's also doing all the weather. You can't take any information off the boat unless you can't pay anyone. So you have to, if they can reach what's on the internet, they can look at that. But beyond that, they've got to make all these decisions based on all this information. So it's navigation, and then there's a tactician deciding on the course.
So when you say they can get anything on the internet, can they look at the yacht tracker?
I think they can, yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like the yacht tracker is a pretty good tool. It's cool to see when you can't see them by sight. But I guess with this one, they're likely to stick close to shore, or us as navigators here in the commentary booth would be sticking close to shore.
Yeah.
These thermal breezes. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. And if they do stick close to shore, it's good for the spectators all the way up the coast.
We haven't spoken a lot about tide because in these conditions, tide is going to really make and break some of these yachts campaigns. It could even be in the next 6 hours. If you don't get out of this harbour before that tide changes to an incoming tide, you could be going backwards. So let's talk about those tides. The top of the tide is at about 12:10 today.
That's correct.
So how is tide going to affect, say, some of the faster boats and then some of the slower boats, Geordie?
Well, there you go. There's the tide there. So low tide 6:51, but of course they're heading to the north, so the tide will actually, where they are, will be turning at an earlier time than that. So the tidal effect is, at the moment, we've got a little tiny bit of tide coming in. It stopped the boats being over the line early, and for most of the next 6 hours, it's going to be pushing them up the coast. But then it will turn, and if they're in no wind, it can push them backwards when it turns. And so you are actually allowed to anchor in sailing, that in an ocean race. So if they're still in the channel, or they're still sort of in shallow enough water where they could ditch an anchor out, they could do that. You know, it can be a tactical part of racing.
Yeah, we spoke to Peter Holm, the Holm family, great supporters of the race, putting $5,000 up for first prize in the PHRF division. And he was telling us that they actually did anchor outside of Racy Sprit one year and nearly filled the boat with fish. So that's the good old days. So, look, as you can see, there's the yacht tracker there now. And we've got one of the cats that is starting to stream away, heading towards that Red Cliff area there, but it is going to be a long race to that first buoy even.
Well, the other thing in tide is, traditionally when you get up around the top of Gary, the Breaksea Spit there, it's a huge amount of tide racing off there, although it's not that bad this year. And what you said, Lisa, about staying close to shore with the thermal breeze, the tidal effect is least next to shore. There's no real benefit. So I reckon if you're a spectator and you're in Queensland, you could go down and watch these boats all the way up the coast. You know, if you're on Gary, or if you're at Rainbow Island, or you're Double Island Point, or, you know, anywhere like at Mooloolaba, you'll be able to get very close to some of these boats. I hope they don't get too close off Gary, because some of the swell there, they might get caught out.
There's a big swell coming off that low in New Zealand, so we know that the surf's up. It should be sweet.
Absolutely. In the briefing, the Bureau of Meteorology did warn the yachts about the size of the swell outside of Moreton Bay. Okay, we'll come back in just a few moments with more of this fantastic and light wind start, an upwind start at the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for 2025. And we'll be back in just a few moments.
The 77th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation, the Brisbane City Council, via Brisbane Economic Development Agency, the generous support from these race partners, And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Heron Island is, I think, an all-in-one trip to the Barrier Reef. You can get up close and personal with any of the flora and fauna out there, so you can see sharks, turtles, fish. You can swim and snorkel all day. There are rooms that host families up to 5 people. There's a restaurant, there's a bar for those sunset cocktails. There's a marine centre where you can organise snorkelling or diving from the boat. You can snorkel and swim just around the island on the high tide. And there are activities guides, mainly trained marine scientists, who can take you on reef walks and explain to you what you're seeing. Diving's always spectacular, visibility can be excellent. It's really what you make it. Heron Island is 50 nautical miles off the coast of Gladstone. We have a vessel, the Heron Islander, that departs from Gladstone 5 days a week. The other option is to fly on a helicopter that departs from the Gladstone airport. Get away from life, get away from Wi-Fi, get away from devices and just relax in nature.
And that's exactly where these boats are heading, towards the beautiful Gladstone region. One of the islands they do not have to go around was the beautiful Heron Island that you just saw then, but they will have to go around Lady Elliot, which is the jewel of the southern Great Barrier Reef. Amazing, beautiful island. And let's hope they don't come to the same issue as Apollo did many, many years ago and actually run aground on Lady Elliot Island. But I'm pretty sure we've got some great navigators on board that'll give enough room. But again, we're talking about that swell. Let's talk about some of the boats that have jumped out to a bit of a lead there. Lisa, you've got some ideas of some boats that are doing well so far?
Yeah, so just looking at the tracker, we've actually got Top Gun is the catamaran. They're heading inshore, so they're right out in front at the moment. Interestingly, Yendes, they've tacked out. They're heading out to the right-hand side offshore, and they're doing pretty well on a really nice shift. Right here, we've got Top Gun coming back, but they've got a few boats in front of them by the look of it. So
slow tack, I think, Lise.
Oh, catamarans. Multi-hulls, I should say. I can say that because I'm a keen multi-hull sailor. So.
That's certainly one of the race favourites there, with Top Gun from the multi-hull division. Their 60th race this year, the multi-hulls on the way to Gladstone. Of course, it's only been the last couple of years that the multi-hulls and the monos have joined together on the same start line, which is just fantastic. Good.
Because the mono-hulls are afraid of the multi-hulls?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Who have we got on screen here?
That looks like Indigo too, I reckon. If I had to, that looks like the Martin 49. So another one of the larger boats that will be, and then look at them, they're moving along quite nicely. And what do you reckon? Would they have? They relaxed yet? It's not quite after midday, so no one's cracked a beer yet. So there's our lead on handicap, they reckon, but probably over the line at the moment. That if you look at that on the left of screen there, you can see Top Gun Barracuda on handicap. Wow, so that we'll be interested to see how that plays out.
Yes, that handicap on that left-hand side of your screen there is actually dual, so you're looking at both the multis and the monos, but they will be separated, of course, in later on when it comes to going across the line. They don't have the same division.
Just, I will say, in these lighter conditions, there's some people love this sort of stuff where it's really switchy and tactical, and you've got to have your head out of the boat. And if you've got a hyperactive mind like mine, you are in a happy place out in this light stuff where everything's to risk. And so, I love it when it's like this. Absolutely love it. It's my favourite thing. So.
Yep, Richard Priestley's just mentioned to us it's much nicer weather there compared to what they have in New Zealand today. I can guarantee you that. There's the beautiful Top Gun. She's a bit of a weapon. Have a look at that. Can you imagine what that would be doing with a bit of breeze?
Oh, I'm sure they'd be wishing for some breeze. This boat has a great history in the Brisbane to Gladstone. They got line honours in the multi-hulls in 1988, 2017 and last year in 2024.
Wow. Been sailing for a while.
Last year, actually, they lost their rudder mid-race when they were doing around 26 knots in rough conditions, but they managed it well and still got line honours in the multi-hull. So they're ready for a challenge, but I think it'll be a different challenge this year for them.
Excellent. You can see the breeze lightening off just a fraction there now as boats are starting now to head out to port. Perhaps these boats have gone inshore and found not much weather in there either.
So from a non-sailor perspective, if you're watching this, when we look at the water, see all the different shades of colour in that water, we can see darker water and lighter water, and we actually can see the wind moving across the water. Like as a sailor, that's one of the skills you develop. So there's a family of sailors on that boat. But yeah, so reading the water is how you make some of your decisions.
Bolt out of the blue, Alan Bolt. Play on words there, see that? From the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, and she's a beautiful boat too, and doing quite well too. They'll be competing in the multihull PHRF and OMR divisions, obviously.
They built that boat themselves?
There you go. Well,
Alan and his wife Philippa, who is on board with him. It's their first Brisbane to Gladstone for the crew and the boat.
that's a glorious looking boat, isn't it? There with the QCYC Burgee on the back.
I think I'd like to cruise that in the Whitsundays.
There's a lot of people, but particularly cat owners, build their own boats. It is quite the thing. It's quite done by some of these guys. So, yeah, going for a cruise through the Whitsundays on a cat is definitely a way to spend it. I think Drew was talking about how comfortable his boat was. So, you know, they're not shy about enjoying their time on the boat. So, because Drew was on the rush hour.
What have we got there? Is it?
I reckon that's XL2. Oh, no, that's Top Gun.
Oh, I don't think it is it? Someone's trying to get all the battens to go in the right way.
That's Bolt.
Is that Bolt?
We're just looking at the sky now. Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Oh,
number 42.
No, XL2. There we go.
XL2. Well, there's some great. Is that like that? Almost looks like gossamer.
Not the same bow number.
Look at the foresail there.
Yeah.
That's lightweight.
Yep.
There's Indigo 2 again on your screens as she works her way towards the Redcliffe mark.
So if you look on the sail, the black sail, you'll see little white, they're wool tufts of wool. They're called telltales. And we use those to set up the sail. So we can tell if the wind is flowing fully around that sail. And so you can reshape that sail. So that actually looks quite deep. If I was setting that boat up, I'd put a little more pre-bend into that mast just to try and flatten off that sail, just to guarantee flow, because I think we might be going loose.
Yeah, I guess in the light breeze, it is so hard to trim the sail and not let it stall, I guess. So you're using those telltales to paint the picture, just like on the water when you're trying to read the wind, you're looking at other boats, you're looking at the ripples on the water to kind of paint a picture. That's what those telltales, those woolies are doing. They're painting a picture of what the wind is doing across the sail, and you want the most efficient path for the wind to take. So you've got the front sail, the jib and the mainsail, and you need them to work together.
Look at it off Redcliffe there, Lise. There's no wind in there, just close to the shore. So there's a big hole to the left, or the top left of screen as we look. So, you know, the sailors can see that.
Yeah, and that's why we saw the boat sort of tacking out going offshore. So there's a bit of a funnel system going on here. There's not much to shore and there's not much offshore. So it's just trying to find that best breeze.
It's interesting. John Murray asked that question. Would you guys stay close to the land and be the first to catch a land breeze if it does develop, or is it a straight line drag race?
You stay in the wind is the secret.
But wherever it is. I don't think it's going to be a straight line drag.
So when we say you want to stay close to shore, you're planning long term, but in the localised element, you want to stay in the pressure. Our friends on the Jeanneau 53 Coopers, they've got a big Jeanneau out there, you can see.
Yeah, sorry, 4 Brisbane to Gladstone's on board Coopers.
I heard this boat comfort meets performance, and that's because they've got air conditioning downstairs.
We don't have our engine running, it's our gen set.
That's it. Very true.
Look at that, picturesque Moreton Bay. Any other day of the year, that's picturesque Moreton Bay, but for today, for our sailors, it's a little bit of hard work.
If I had to guess, I'd say that's Black Diamond. I'm a long way away, but if I had to guess, but she looks to be moving quite well. I said she might be a bit sticky, but she looks like she's going very, very well. You can't imagine how much work goes into shaping the sails. Like, so the sails actually, we go into a sail after we make a sail, and then we'll reshape it, and then you can bend the mast. You can, all sorts of work goes into developing those. That's not, I got that wrong. That's definitely not Black Diamond. I got it wrong. So
You can see how spread out the boats are at the moment. Everyone's got a different opinion, or whoever that boat is right now in the middle of the screen doesn't look like they're going too quickly.
That's definitely balancing act.
There she is. She's been talked about a lot today, but there is balancing act and one of the favourites of the Port Cotter Sailing Club today with Tony Craner as the skipper.
Amazing experience aboard that boat.
I was just going to say they know what they're doing on that boat because that rig's set up. So they've got a nice round jib. They're reshaping it. That round jib gives them a lot of power in light winds, and it actually is really, really fast. Now they're taking the roundness out of it. So that's the reshaping that we talk about. So having the jib right inboard and then a lot of round in very, very light winds is like a rocket ship, and now they're just taking all that away. So they must think there's more wind, but somebody knows what they're doing on that boat too, to sort of set that all up.
Yep, Tony is a very keen sailor and loves the Port Cotter Sailing Club, even though it's not a permanent fixture in the Gladstone region, sails down here, but he certainly does each year represent the club. And for all those in Gladstone, here she is. This is the one we wanted to have a look at. This is Spetsig.
The pointy boat.
The pointy boat. Have a look at this.
Awesome.
It's like a pencil with a mast on top of it. With Peter Kerr on board there and good old Trev down low, staying out of the wind. But this is Spetsig, and this could quite possibly be a bit of a favourite for the Courier Mail Cup.
If they keep it moving, yeah, that's definitely one we're interested to see. So they're racing double-handed. Look at that. As Lee said, would you say, what was yours?
7 waterline, but 12 above.
So it's 7 metres on the waterline, 12 above. So the big, long extensions. And once she gets trucking, in the metre rule, they measure at the waterline. So when they calculate on the metre rule, so which is what this design is, and then as it gets trucking, that water sucks up and off the stern, and so they get a lot more length and unmeasured. If
you're sitting here with a yacht in the Brisbane or any part of Queensland and saying, "Oh no, I think we're past going on the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, or our boat's not quite right." This one's going to Gladstone. Anyone can go to Gladstone. That's what I'm just saying. Have a look at that and enjoy. But these boys are going to have a wonderful trip. It's a fantastic boat to sail. I'm speaking to Trev, and he says, when I have to put my wet weather gear on, I can't do it in the hull. I've actually got to come outside into the rain or into the weather to put my wet weather gear on. It's just there's not enough space. But there you go. Beautiful boat.
And Peter, whose boat it is, it's his 22nd, or he's done 22 Brisbane to Gladstone, so plenty of experience racing up the coast.
Yeah, she's a bit of a favourite of ours, and we do hope she does best. This is Samurai, by the look of things, and she's not moving real fast. The Sparkin Stevens, she's launched in '79, as you can see there, and purchased in October 23 from Airlie Beach by Stuart Tivy, and she'll be competing in the IRC for this race, and as you said earlier, on 60 foot long.
Yeah, this is there's a father-son duo aboard this boat. Stuart is the skipper. It's his 3rd Brisbane to Gladstone, and his son Fletcher is also on board, but it's a beauty.
I'm interested on this boat because they're all from Airlie Beach. They're all commercial skippers, so they work in the industry. They take all the tourists out all the time, and they do all those experiences. They take people on sailing experiences. So they've all done plenty of miles, and they've gone and got their commercial tickets, and they've got the main going the reverse way to the jib in that one. They can't get their battens across. So I was interested. All commercial skippers, I'm interested to see how they perform. Certainly they won't breach the rules.
Charisma, as we featured earlier on, this is Chris Larson's machine with a big bowsprit up the front. Explain to some of the people watching the broadcast for the first time, what is that big pole at the front?
So that pole is for when they put another sail up. That is the spinnaker. So when they go downwind. So right now they're going upwind. If they put that big sail up the front, the spinnaker, it's not going to be able to catch the wind. But when they go away from the wind, the sail goes up. It projects out the front there, and it really pulls them away from the wind.
Now, earlier on you mentioned about handicaps all featuring waterline length. Does this, having a big bowsprit out the front, does that affect your handicap, or is that taken into account?
It goes in the way they measure it through sails, so what your sails that you're going to put up on the sides of the sails, so that comes into account. And if you're using your bowsprit for the sails, that means you don't, if the wind's directly behind, you don't get as much you're using apparent winds coming right forward. It means your boat's quite fast and the apparent wind comes forward, so you're using an asymmetrical spinnaker rather than a symmetrical spinnaker, which we set off a pole. It does come into play in that you get a larger spinnaker, so yeah, that taken into account.
It's getting light out there, hey? You can see, so the boats we're looking at the moment, really light, but if you look to the left, to the top of your screen, there's still a little bit of breeze, but this is where it's going to get really tough as they try right round that first mark.
Yeah.
Rush Hour. Spoke to Drew earlier on today. This is the boat that he has actually built himself. It looks like it's just travelling along nicely, and let's put as much weight forward as we can. There's a few crews sitting up the front there, and I love how Drew, who designed and built the boat, has called his design Drew 15.
Well, it originally was a Rogers 38, but now it is a Drew 15.
Drew 15.
So many changes. The cat sailors, they love a tinker, but you can see that that sail that they've pulled out on the bow, like Lisa, you were talking about on the pole, that's not a spinnaker. That's just a larger sort of, the sail that you would normally, Lisa was referring to, that's more like what we'd call a Code Zero, I guess, or it's not even a screecher. So that's designed to go upwind. It's a flat sail, and what Lisa's referring is some sort of deeper shaped sails. So they're just putting as much sail area up as possible at the moment.
I've got to say to Wazza Barefoot, who's been on our live chat, apologies for that. Samurai is actually from Townsville, not Airlie. That's like saying one's from Brisbane. And
it's the same.
Oh,
it's the same.
Careful. This guy is from Queensland. Don't you go saying that, Lisa. It'll go badly. So we're going to have a look at the yacht tracker here now, and look at that. Black Diamond currently sitting from a line honours perspective in first position with David Rose's Wedgetail. David doing over 30 Brisbane to Gladstones now, and he's a great lover of this race, and in second position with the Endies, the Rockall Pugh in third.
Well, Black Diamond and Wedgetail do have a bit of a friendly rivalry going, so they're going to have a rivalry just to get round the turning mark.
Yeah, that's a handicap position, so they won't be in the front. They'll be in the front on the ratings at this stage, but that's what we'd expect. Black Diamond and Wedgetail were two of the boats that we said that would likely be.
It's saying line honours on the
up the top there on the tracker, so
I can't believe that they're in the lead. I just can't believe that. Black Diamond's too small. And Wedgetail's too small.
I wonder if it's from the rum line, though, because some of those boats are going inshore, working.
That's Black Diamond right there, so we'll have a look around.
Trucking along very nicely.
It looks amazing.
I think that's the thing about trackers is you get really into it. And
she's definitely in the lead. I think it does come down to your rum line and all the different angles taken in.
Yeah, there's a couple of boats up inside, but if she's right at the front of the fleet, that thing is flying. And we said that they were definitely one to watch, but I thought it might be a bit sticky in this light winds, but happy to be proved wrong in this instance. Certainly, they've put a lot of bodies on board to make this thing go fast, and they would be very, very happy about that.
Do you know, last year when we spoke with Glenn Burrell, he was one of our live interviews last year. He wasn't real happy because he actually sat down low and missed a big wind shift. If you can remember, he's a little bit grumpy. This year, I think he's a little bit happier. So
yeah, I just took a look at the tracker in a little bit more detail, and the shifts out there are huge. So that means that the angle that they're sailing out, everyone's sailing in different wind, different angles. Black Diamond sailing a lot less distance than the other boats for now, but the wind is really changeable out there. So whilst they're looking pretty strong right now, they've still got a way to go, and they're heading to shore at the moment.
I actually really like how they've got that rig set up. They've really got it open. They've got the boat moving. You can see Maritimo 52 up there. It's a little bit more closed up. And so they're just giving that boat its head and trying to keep it moving. And that's how to sail a boat in light wind.
Alrighty, well, Gladstone is the end location, is the destination of choice, and right now we have got a young lady who is certainly a local, and we well know her from Channel 7 with her work in the great outdoors, and she's also hosting the long lunch up there at the moment. Kimmy, it's great to see you brought the family back home for Easter. Looks like you've got a few friends there today. What's going on?
Just a few of my nearest and dearest here, Coop, so I don't want to show you too much, and I know you haven't had a chance to come and visit this event. You've been always hosting over the last few years. Great to see the Gladstone community together to celebrate all things seafood here as we wait for the yachts to come in a day or so.
Yeah, well, it does look like a good party up there. It is going to be a little bit of a longer race this year. Will there still be a good party for when the yachts arrive, Kim?
If there's one thing that we know how to do, that's how to pace out our partying. So it will relatively a wind up until our line crossing party on Sunday. That's always the one that everyone gets about. It's an opportunity for past Gladstoneers to come back into town and really, catch up with old friends, meet new friends, and enjoy everything that's on offer here in Gladstone over Easter.
Kim, Jordan here. You're a Gladstone lass, and but we get to see you on TV with the great outdoors, weekender, coast to coast. So you get to travel all around this beautiful state. Why is it so special to be back in Gladstone over Easter?
I think it's the nostalgia, Geordie, isn't it? It's the feeling that comes deep within your chest. It's the memories of balmy nights under the marina, the fireworks that hit the night sky last night. It's running around all the rides, the raft race that was on this morning, the fun run. There's just so many fun activities, and it just brings a smile to everyone's face. So,
well, Kim, before we let you go, I've got a question for you, and that's when you were growing up, Grant was a breakfast announcer on Radio 4CC up there, and can you tell me, was he as big as a rock star as he tells me he is?
Oh, really?
I'm talking black tinted SUVs. I'm talking don't look me in the eye kind of stuff. He even had a bodyguard there at one point. I was like, mate, you're at Woolworths. You're going to be fine. He certainly was a big star and a much-loved member of FW.
You'll keep, Bustede. You really will. You'll keep. It's lovely talking to you, and enjoy the rest of the day there. You're MC of this wonderful event, the Long Lunch, and we'll see you in Gladstone and celebrate. And hopefully we'll bring some boats in by Saturday, at least Sunday at the latest.
We'll have a champagne for all three of you.
Good on you, Kimmy. Thanks so much. Kimberly Bustede, live from the Yachtsman's Long Lunch in Gladstone. That's what they're going towards. That's what these yachtsmen and women are heading towards, and it's certainly a huge celebration once they get to Gladstone. We're 40 minutes into this classic, iconic Queensland race, and you are watching the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race live around the world on YouTube.
The 7th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
This is GPC.
This is GPC.
This is GPC. This is GPC.
All aboard! Everyone's welcome here. There's plenty of room on the bandwagon.
Speak up, all trains are coming. I hear it jets in hand. I hear the car is moving. Get her up to the band. Oh, get on board. Get on board. Get on board.
Hey, Gilly, we're going to need a bigger float.
There's no room in you. Get on board.
Welcome back to the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. We've got another 19 minutes of broadcasting to you, the start of this iconic and fantastic race as they head up towards Redcliffe and the first rounding mark before heading across the bay to Tangalooma. And we were earlier on, we were mentioning the tides, and Richard Priestley was able to tell us that the tide is about 30 minutes earlier out near Tangalooma. So by the time you're getting through that shipping channel, they might actually get some favourable tidal movement through Tangalooma. But there we go. Yandy's on screen at the moment as she heads towards that Redcliffe mark. And just goes to show you how close they were in towards the land still here. So for spectators on the land up and around that Redcliffe area, you're getting a really good view of the Brisbane to Gladstone for 2025.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, obviously we have these beautiful images from on board. We've got the trackers to support. It looks to me from what we can see with the two of them is that Yendies are in a really nice right shift. So whilst they're closer to shore, they're sailing a really good shift at the moment, whereas the boats that are slightly inshore aren't quite getting that right now. So I think they're in a pretty nice position at the moment. Interestingly, Maritimo is the 52 is the furthest one out to the right. So we're not really going to see how that plays out. But right now, they don't look like they are in the shift. But if they get it, they'll be coming in with a bit of pace.
The wind's building a little bit there. I have to say GCCM Arctic Blonde is very well positioned as well. They're right near the front of this fleet. They're sailing that boat really, really well. They are moving up to Redcliffe, so you can see that peninsula there. So they get almost to the top of that little peninsula, and the turning mark, it's right up the top, just where you can see that landmass sticking out. That's basically where they're going to with that turning mark.
Yeah, and for the first time in a long time this year, the rounding mark will be rounded by both the multi-hulls and the mono-hulls at the same time this year. Normally there's a bit of a splitter mark, but this year they've decided to go with the same rounding mark.
Yep. Separation there, but yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? You know, again, the boats are moving, it's tactical, the wind has filled further up the course, so I'm feeling very positive. They've got the tide coming up behind them, so you know, it's a good yacht race.
Yeah, and for Yendies, as you were saying, Grant, they just had an absolute nightmare just trying to get to this start line. I think at 10 p.m. last night, they were still sort of trying to come to the yacht club for the day. So to actually be there after everything and then having a really nice run out. You did speak to Bruce before they hit the start line saying that this could be their year.
Well, actually, Bruce mentioned to me, and this is how close it was, they were holding there's nothing to hold the gearbox up while they were getting it into position in the boat. So they had to physically hold this, 30-kilo box, and they were there for 2 hours trying to get it into place. They actually stopped. They went and had a cup of coffee early in the morning. They said, if we can't get it in the next 10 minutes, we're not going. And they walked back in, picked it up, and it slipped into place. And that's how close it was. They almost didn't start today because of that. But an amazing feat to just even get to the start line. Black Diamond, she's a good-looking boat, and she's doing well. I think it would be the most port boat at the moment. As you can see how close it is to the land, just in the background.
As you said before, they're actually on the lay, I think, into the mark at the moment. So the other boats have gone further right, as Lisa was saying, but these guys might be able to lay into this mark, and that means they haven't sailed extra distance, and yeah, they're looking really good. They're sailing great. They are happy days. That's the boat I wanted to be on, so...
You can't go on any boat while you're sitting here, mate. And welcome to my world.
Yeah.
But yes, Black Diamond, one of the forerunners at this point in time. We're 45 minutes into the race, the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for 2025. I think what we might do is we might head back out onto Mahokee before there's too much champagne and too many prawns that have been consumed, and we won't get any correct pronunciation from Natalie Cooper, but she's got a very special guest with her today. Over to you, Nat, on Mahokee.
Thanks, Grant. I'm here with Gladstone Regional Council Mayor Matt Burnett. Matt, thanks for having a chat with me today.
Anytime.
You've sailed on a few Brisbane to Gladstone yacht races, and I believe the last one was for the 75th on Skimmer, is that right?
Yeah.
And more recently won the Surf to City on her too. Well done. Congrats on that.
Thank you. That was pretty cool. Yeah, we didn't win Brisbane to Gladstone. We never expected to, but it was fantastic to enjoy the race that year for the 75th celebration. My job obviously is to welcome the yachts when they get home and to be here on the start boat this morning and set them on sail. It's going to be a bit slower this year, but
yeah. A bit of a limp up the coast, I think. Yeah, no doubt. The Gladstone Regional Council is once again the major sponsor of the live stream, and this really allows people from around the world, no matter where they are, to be amongst the action of it. Why is this so important to Council to be the supporter of the coverage, and what do you think it has? What impact on the community?
Well, it's massive. So obviously people are watching now in Gladstone at the GECC Food Court at the Harbour Festival, which was set up to celebrate the Brisbane and Gladstone Yacht Race. They're also watching on the big screen at the long lunch, which we've never got to go to yet, but how good will that be? And people are watching on their YouTube channels, and KO freebies are on board now, so it's just amazing that people can watch our great race, 77 years of our race, right around the world.
It's amazing, isn't it? So, as you mentioned, you and I are not racing this year for sure. We're going to jump on a jet plane, head back up to Gladstone, and of course it's quite a tradition for yourself and the councillors to meet the yachties as they cross the finish line and give them their carton of locally brewed beer. Apart from the beer, what else have they got to look forward to?
Well, obviously, and a medallion as well. But there's plenty to look forward to. Obviously, we got our Gladstone Harbour Festival. So depending on when they get in, it'll be Sunday night most likely. So that'll be the Baker Boys all happening at the festival and the Easy Tigers. But of course, we got our line crossing party at the B2G Village. We did plan to do the trophy presentation at 3 o'clock at the Yacht Club, but that might get pushed back a bit now. But there's just so much happening in Gladstone over Easter. And for the families going up today, they've got the races tomorrow, they've got the Speedway, they've got the Seafood Festival tomorrow. There's just so much happening in Gladstone. It's all about Easter in Gladstone, and it's centred around this yacht race. Without the yacht race, it doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Hot tip for the win.
I'm going to go for Balancing Act. I love wrestlers, they're good friends of mine, but I think Balancing Act in with a real good shot.
Okay, good one. Thanks, Matt. Back to you, Grant.
Good on you guys, out on board that beautiful starboat on Hoki. That is Nat Cooper and the Mayor of Gladstone, Matt Burnett. Okay, well, we're only 12 minutes left before we're going to have to shut things down here, but I reckon we must be getting close to that rounding mark off Redcliffe now. Can't be too far away.
Yeah, the wind is looking fantastic. On the tracker that you guys can all tune into on the website, you can see how fast the boats are going. So they were going around 4 knots, and now they're about 6.5 knots in boat speed. So it's picking up out there, and yeah, approaching the turning mark. It's all going to converge by the looks of it as they get there. But we've got flying colours at the moment. Pretty well set up on the leeward side in the shade as well. Pretty nice.
No, I'll go forward. It's okay. There you go. Flying colours, great shots there from the drone. They're just trickling along and heading towards that first mark. And as you can see, look, Black Diamond's still in the lead, apparently. They seem to be, like I think you mentioned before there, Lisa, they seem to be getting a little bit of a shift off that land there and getting a bit more of a higher point. They could be looking at that one tack into the buoy. Oh, yeah, I'm just trying to pick those boats there. That looks like Barracuda there in front of the screen, and they're doing quite well. And we'll get more of those back fleet boats in just a few moments. Let's take a quick break, the last one for today, and come back with more of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for 2025.
The 77th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation, the Brisbane City Council, via Brisbane Economic Development Agency, the generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Hi, this is Philip Lazzarini, and it's my pleasure to step you through the 2025 course. The organising authority is the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, founded in 1948 for the express purpose of hosting this event. At 11 a.m, all yachts will set course for the first turning mark off Redcliffe, then east to the M8 and M9 beacons of Tangalooma before heading northwest rounding the Caloundra Fairway buoy. Navigators will plot their courses, chasing the favourable winds by skirting Double Island Point or heading further offshore, hoping to open up the angles and sailing fast. With beautiful Gari on the port side, yachts will pass Indian Head and then break Seaspit before altering course to round the jewel of the southern Great Barrier Reef, Lady Elliot Island, and then heading across the span of water that yachties have affectionately named the Paddock. With Agnes Waters and 1770 on the horizon, yachts will pick up the first channel beacon, S2, before snaking through the Gladstone shipping channel, being aware of the shallow bars on either side of the channel. Finally, the end is in sight, with the finish of Patsy Lee Place at East Shores, where the Port Curtis Sailing Club will signal the end of the race for each yacht and the beginning of the Easter festivities.
This is the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race 2025, and Yendy's on screen there as they head towards the first turning mark off Redcliffe. And in years gone by, if you're an avid watcher of this event, you would have seen boats almost to Tangalooma by now. But here we are, not even getting to the first mark, but it certainly has laid plans of beautiful shots from our drones and our cameras today. And here is Amaya too, from the Queensland Cruising Cruising Yacht Club, representing the club that we're broadcasting from now.
Yeah, that's a Far design, an 11.3. That is, from my memory, that thing was built in South Australia by David Binks at Binks Yachting, and a man that's been credited with introducing fiberglass boats and fiberglass building techniques into Australia, and was recognised just 2 weeks ago for his 60 years of contribution to the industry. So that is a history associated with that boat, but that boat can do quite well. Plenty of experience on board. It's the third Brisbane to Gladstone for this boat. They've done a lot of work on it, keeping up to date, and she is, she's been rebirthed. It's the best way to describe her.
Yeah, no, beautiful looking boat, and I know they're very proud of her at the QCYC here in Brisbane, in Shorncliffe. And looking at that, just having a bit of a glance on the tracker, it seems a lot of the boats have worked their way up from the rum line. If that turning mark where the tracker is showing is correct, you'd almost say that Black Diamond has got that lead. But here's Maritimo, the other one the other boat that is fighting it out for the lead at this point in time. Spetsig on the helm.
Look, you'd have to assume by now that they've spied it, they've seen it, so I reckon they all know exactly. You can see there's a little bit of ease in that jib, so to me I think that they might be slightly above, but they're probably laying straight into that mark. So I wouldn't be surprised if Maritimo leads around, even though the track is slowing it slightly different, but she is trucking along there. There's what's that? Is that one of the multi-hulls down to Lord?
Trying to catch that. I can see it a long way off.
I don't think it is, but I think what we're going to see is this convergence. And what I mean by that is that, Black Diamond down the bottom, they've got a really nice angle. They're sailing close hauled. You've got Maritimo furthest to the right. They've cracked their sails. They're building a little bit of speed.
Yeah.
And then you've got Yendes in the middle, which is sort of is on a nice ley line. So as all those sailors will have, a different angle to the mark, and they're spread out, I think they're going to come at a pretty close time. Obviously, they're different lengths in boat and different types of boats, but just with the way the wind's playing out, that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, they're quite separated. There's quite a bit of distance between Black Diamond on the port side, with Yendes in the middle, and then to the far right is Maritimo. There's a bit of distance between them.
This is an analogy of what the race is going to be like for the whole time.
It's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's the thing about sailing is that, 10 minutes you're in one thing, 10 minutes you're in another, and they've got to do that for the next 20 hours.
20? I reckon it might go longer than that.
Yeah, look at that. Looking up towards Redcliffe, and again, not too far away from that first turning mark before they head towards Tangalooma and on Moreton Islands.
One of the interesting things, traditionally multi-hulls are a long way in front, but what happens is in the really light winds, they've got two hulls in the water. They're low drag in high winds because they don't have all this weight and they can scoot off. They're not constrained by sort of drag but in the lighter winds, when there's two hulls in the water, they're a little bit more sticky. So that's why they haven't got up to get up to full noise. So yeah, it's interesting though. I've been watching the weather for whilst we've been going and seeing some of the marks and the observations for the Bureau of Meteorology, and it's
spot on.
There's a couple that are saying that it's 0 knots in a few spots.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, let's have a look at Windy now. We'll cross to that, and as we zoom in on Moreton Bay, there is a lot of blue there in the bay, and things are just not moving. 3 knots from where they've got that sitting there, and I reckon that 3 knots is all of about 1.
And where they're heading to, where they're going to turn right and go to Moreton Island, right where that purpley blue patch is, and then across to the bottom there of Bribie Island. That's where they're going to, and she's going to be slow, Lisa.
Yeah, and I guess for the non-sailors, when you look at this, there's so much green out on the other side. You're like, how's that not getting in? But the wind is really obstructed by those islands, so it's creating a big wind shadow. So, when the wind's blowing, you hide behind a building. Well, the island's acting as a building, and it's protecting...
Oh, that's a good one, Lisa. I like that.
It's protecting those that are on the beach having a great time, but not so good for the sailors.
Absolutely. While we've been talking about IRC, which is the International Racing Certificate, and is basically the handicap race for the Courier Mail Cup, I will make a feature of the Performance Handicap Rating Factor, or PHRF, where the Holm family have provided $5,000 for the first boat over the line, which is a great amount of money. I mean, yachtsmen in these type of class boats don't do it for the money. No. It's for the love of sailing. But to get a little, perhaps a new sail out of it, you take it when you can. But to the Holm family, who have been great supporters of this race over many, many years, including the beautiful boat which I've had a sail on, Laura Barter, which was with a record holder for many, many years. We thank Chris and Pete for their continued support of this race.
Very generous.
They certainly are. There's Yendi's as she heads towards the line.
Wow.
She's trucking along there now. I'm just having a bit of a look, and 6.2 knots, it says on the yellow brick tracker.
Yep.
If you want to have a look at that, make sure you go to the Brisbane to Gladstone.com and have a look at Follow the Fleet, and you'll be able to watch for those boats over the next 2 days, 3 days, perhaps even, where they're coming in. So there you go. Wow. What a great start to this iconic event. I don't think anybody expected to be beating towards the first mark. I think we all thought it was going to be colourful Spinnaker set starts. But
it literally hit 1 minute before almost. It just came in.
Yep. And on the screen there, Maritimo 52, possibly the race favourite, so keep a bit of an eye on that. But look, really, any boat is in it to win it now, and the weather conditions will be the ones that will tell who will do what over the next couple of days. What a fantastic event. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you to all the other sponsors who make this race. Of course, we're talking about Adina Watches. We're talking about the Brisbane City Council. We're talking about the Gladstone Ports Corporation. And we're talking about the Gladstone Regional Council and, of course, Adina Watches. So we thank them very, very much for putting in to make this race what it is. And we hope you enjoyed it today. Lisa, thank you so much for being a part of it today. It's wonderful to meet you and lovely to have you in beautiful sunny Queensland. Next you bring the weather with you, a bit more breeze if that's possible.
No problem. I mean, I really enjoyed this start, but let's have a downwinder next year. I would say live for the downwind.
Gordon Spencer, fantastic having you on board again this year. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with Barkarati, the sailing podcast, and hopefully gets in the top 2 percentile of podcasts worldwide very soon. But if you haven't listened to it, make sure you do on any of the streaming channels, podcast channels. And on behalf of everybody that's been putting this race broadcast together over the last 12 months, thank you so much. I'm Grant Cooper. Have yourself a wonderful Easter, and we'll hopefully see you again next year.